Hello everyone, welcome to the 4th episode of SPEARCAST. I am your host, Lucas Quick.
And I am your co-host, Abel Tariku, and it's a very, very special episode because the first time we are officially on camera. Please give a round of applause to myself for setting this all up. but seriously, we've heard some requests saying that we want to be on camera. You guys don't want to see that big SPEARCAST image. So we brought out the cameras for you guys to kind of help give this amazing experience for you, and we do have a lot to talk about for today. I do want to introduce our guests. Coming back from episode 0, we have our SSU men's football reporter, Niles Hall. Welcome back.
How you guys doing?
And today we have a new guest, part of Aspire, one of the best reporters that we have right now, does a lot of stuff, writing, sidebars, photos. Please give it up for Hattie.
Hey guys, happy to be here today, and let's talk some football.
Yeah, so we first wanted to go talk about some breaking news that just happened today, which is Tuesday the 30th. There was a press conference today and just announced that head coach Ken Niumatalolo said that Dennis Lynch is officially going to be benched and Matthias Brown is going to be the starting kicker. Niles, you were present at the press conference that day. What can you get us more detail into what he meant by that?
He said Lynch and Matthias Brown had a kicking competition throughout the first 2 days of practice, and Brown won. And he just said they love Dennis Lynch, and he just wanted him to step up. And Matthias Brown, they just wanted to see someone new at kicker, and it's the right decision. They've lost 2 games now due to kicking struggles.
Yeah, because currently he is 4 for 10, so only 40% in all field goals attempted. He actually started the year 0 for 4 and didn't make his first field goal until the Idaho game, which was week 3. And this is an interesting stat. Out of the 4 games so far this season, 3 of them he's missed at least 2 field goals, which has resulted into a loss. Did you want to kind of add anything to Hattie?
Obviously all those field goals were, short range, 28, 29 yarders, and these should be locked for any professional kicker out there. And I think, Matthias Brown, I'm not too familiar with him, but as long as he makes those short range kickers. I did see on Twitter too, one comment did say maybe rotating the kickers, having Dennis Lynch out there for the long kicks, but I think Matthias Brown, as a full-time kicker, is the right thing moving forward.
Yeah, Matthias Brown has yet to have a kick NFL or see a college football kick yet, and he's been doing kickoffs for the team, and he's going to keep having that role moving forward in the season.
Yeah, Lynch missed, like Hattie said, a field goal from 28 yards and 29 yards out, which was part of the reason why they came out with such a devastating loss. They were up by 2 scores with a little bit under 10 minutes left in the game, and they eventually lost to Stanford 30-29. And me and Miles we were all at this game. So can you guys just explain how does a loss like this deflate a team, especially when you go and you're up by 2 scores? You seem like that all the pieces are starting to get together after a rough couple of weeks. But how do they have to bounce back in this situation?
Yeah, I think one thing to take away is Walker Egan. He played the best football that he did against Stanford, and the confidence looked up there. And, our receivers, too. This receiving core is bright for the rest of the season. Danny Scudero, Leland Smith, Kyrie Scholes all had over 100 yards. First time since 2013 for any San Jose State receiving trio. So, definitely, too. The defense, though, that's one thing that I thought, has shown some inconsistency this year. We did see them against Texas. They did hold their own at points of the game. But, one thing, though, third down defense, that's something that we've seen improve this year, which was a story last year. So I definitely think going into conference play, these small things like that should get us in the right direction.
And then did you want to kind of add anything to what Heidi said, Niles?
I feel like that Stanford game, offensively, we were really strong. The team has yet to play a complete game for me. There's been games where the offense is kind of struggling, and then the defense is really stepping up. And then with this last game, the offense was on fire, 500 yards of offense, and the defense just couldn't get a stop, couldn't stop the Stanford wide receivers. And it was just a shootout, and Stanford was the last team to score.
Yeah, and I noticed that Walker had an amazing game. I believe it was a career high with 476 passing yards. The only thing was that it was 58 attempts. They only ran the ball, I believe, around 13 times through the entire game. And just for a reference, last week's game against Idaho, they were using the run a lot more. I believe Chalk and Bates both had 11 runs combined. No, not combined, separately. They each had 11 carries, which is very interesting because in this game, Scudero, like you said, Danny Scudero, Leland Smith, Kyrie Scholes had amazing games. Scudero had 11 receptions for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns. Scholes had 10 receptions for 147 yards and a touchdown, and Leland Smith had 101 yards and for 6 receptions. So I think it's kind of very interesting how we know this team is very, very pass heavy, but I wanted to ask you guys, like, should they really be utilizing the run game a lot more to kind of go down, waste clock, and just kind of be a little bit more efficient? Because we know they can do it from what we saw last week. It's just that should they utilize it more, or should they stick to just throwing the ball constantly?
I think I'm definitely an advocate for running the ball, but I think against Stanford, that was the one team where I didn't doubt Coach Ken Niumatalolo's decision there, because I mean, Stanford, they could not defend our pass game. So like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But however, the run game, like you mentioned, the Bell. I mean, we have a deep running back depth. I mean, Jabari Bates, Floyd Chalk, even Radcliffe out there. I mean, those are 3 guys that have talent. And I talked to Coach Ken a few weeks ago, and he described them as they all do different things. And and I just think rotating them in our offense will just like kind of expand our playbook even more. And yeah, you mentioned, I mean, versus Idaho, Jabari Bates, longest run of the season. Floyd Chalk had a really good game. And I just think going forward, especially too, we don't know like how the receivers we don't know if the receivers will keep up the consistency that they've had so far. I mean, we saw Leland Smith. He had his best game. I mean, he was gaining separation, but depending on the matchup, we don't know how that will be like for the rest of the season.
Overall, I feel like it's the offense picks and chooses when to run the ball. There's been times like the Idaho game, we needed the run game to find a rhythm. And then last week, offensively, we just got out of rhythm out of the gate. Kyrie Scholes was a big role in that. And then Jabari Bates, he went down late in that game, and we'll look to see if he's going to be ready to play this week's game. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, and Niles, I know you mentioned how you say this team has not played a complete game. And that was definitely noticeable towards the end, because in the beginning, it did look like they played complete. Like, the offense was rolling. The defense had 4 sacks in the first half, and the team really looked like it was playing up to its potential. Latu was getting into the backfield the other time. I know Vili was also putting up some pressure. And yet, as bad as to say, they completely collapsed. They gave up 16 points, I believe, to end the fourth quarter by itself. They only gave up 10, I believe, the first half. So it's just, how do you kind of like recover from that? Because it's not like the defense gets tired, because these are collegiate level athletes, so they train to absolute limit. It's just like, how do you kind of recover from something?
Yeah, Bill, I think it's more of time of possession for me. The offense goes on these 3-minute drives where it's just a shot play that just gets us down the field, and from there it's just like score touchdown and kick a field goal. And the defense never really has a time to get a break. And then by halftime, we were playing good. And then out of the halftime, they just seemed a little fatigued, and it just gets progressively worse. I talked to Coach Odom about it. He just gave coaches speak, just saying, like, there's nothing we can do about it. We just have to get the offense off the field and get the ball back to our offense, which makes sense. But the offensive approach plays a role into how the defense does with fatigue and stuff like that. What do you think, Hattie?
I can't agree. I can't agree more. I mean, I think especially with our depth, I think this team has more depth than it shows. I mean, you mentioned Jabari Bates, with his status uncertain. Who's going to be the next man to step up there? Is Coach Ken going to keep resulting to the pass game, or are we going to see more carries for Lamar Radcliffe, who's had a pretty quiet season getting touches? I know week 1, Central Michigan, he was out there with Floyd Chalk. But it's going to be interesting to see if Coach Ken does use the run game more. Maybe, Jackson Canan, tight end, he had his best game too. Maybe getting him involved more as well. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Lamar Radcliffe, Coach Ken said he's fully confident in him. He just has to just hold on to the ball, and he should look to have a bigger role coming into this game. Overall, that's it. Cut this part.
No.
Just cut.
You didn't need to say that, but now we can go. Forget about last week. Let's focus on what we have now. Now we're entering the conference, sitting at 1-3. Are we last in the Mountain West? I believe
It's hard to right now. Like again, it's 1-3 is not where you want to be ideally, but ultimately at the end of the day, these first 4 games of the season, they're not the most important games, obviously, because this necessarily doesn't have any impact towards the Mountain West Conference. Like, realistically, or hypothetically speaking, if San Jose State managed to go undefeated in conference play, you're right up there, if not one of the top 1 or top 2 teams in the conference. So ultimately, like, yeah, it's not great to be at 1-3, especially considering the high expectation this team had. But it doesn't really impact any Mountain West records or standings. Starting on this Friday against New Mexico, that's when it's important. And that's why it's so important right now is that you're already 2 games below 500, and if you drop a home game against New Mexico at your home field, that's when you start to begin to realize the season might start to get out of hand a little bit. And it sucks because this team does have a lot of potential, and we've been seeing it here and there, but we haven't seen it complete yet. There's always a positive and a negative on every single game, which happens in a lot of sports. And there's really been some super positives and some super negatives, and they kind of overlay one another. So, yeah, I don't think that it doesn't matter that they have the worst record right now or anything, but what do you guys expect heading into conference play? Because now these are when the games are really, really important. If you want to still make a push into the Mountain West Championship or even a bowl game right now, you got to win these games.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Lucas. I mean, these are now you really just can't lose any more games. Based on the schedule, though, I really do think that all these games are winnable. I think I'm looking at our schedule. Fresno State maybe will be the toughest matchup, but I think these are games that San Jose State that we know we could win. And I think also too all these Mountain West teams, especially with with Boise now, how obviously after losing Ashton Genty, you have 2 teams like UNLV who. They could be probably up there, but San Jose State doesn't play them this year, unless in the championship. But I think these are all winnable games, and we've seen all the games that they lost were all winnable. Even the Texas game, surprisingly, that first quarter, if it wasn't for those 2 missed field goals, all those missed opportunities there, those missed throws, San Jose State, that they make it a game. Crazy enough to think. So I don't know. What do you think, Niles?
New Mexico, we have to start with New Mexico. New Mexico's a solid opponent. They came into the season being the last ranked team, and now they're 3-1, right where the Spartans wish they could be. Just New Mexico's an all-around team. Offensively, they can run the ball. They've won games running the ball. They've won games throwing the ball. Their defense is solid. They could be had in the secondary again. So look to see San Jose State's wide receivers to have a good game again.
Okay, and then last time you were on the podcast, you mentioned that if there was one player that you wanted to see more in the role, it was Leland Smith. And that prediction looked to be correct because obviously last week he had a great game. Now, which player, again, are you looking forward to see to kind of take that next level to such an important role, either on offense or on defense?
I'd say true freshman Jalen Thomas. Last week we saw some good things and we saw some bad things in that Stanford game. He had a good deflection towards the end of that game, but then also he got beat a couple times, got busting coverage. I think this Jalen Thomas, if he can step up, stop some of these Mountain West wide receivers, we can have a good rest of the season.
Yeah, I think Matthew Coleman on the offense. I really do hope that we get him more involved. And not just in special teams. I feel like he's an explosive player too. I feel like he can make plays. On the defensive end, I would like to see Isaiah Rivas. He's a guy that we saw last year. He was a really he came close to forcing turnovers. He plays the position really well at his at what he does. And I think just Isaiah Rivas having that breakout game. Maybe getting a pick. I would love to see that too. And I think too, he's also I feel like he has the build to be the heart of this defense eventually too. So yeah, I do. Those would be my 2 players.
And going to Matthew Coleman, Nas, you were at the press conference today. Coach Ken kind of touched upon his status, right? Did he say he was going to return this week, or is he expected to return? I think is what he said.
Yeah, he said he's expected to return.
Yeah, I think again having Coleman and already a crowded receiver room that's really shown a lot of potential so far, I think that could be a good thing. And going back to the 2-minute possessions that we've all talked about, and we've all noticed, I think that's kind of like the downside of having to play with a spread and shred offense, is because we're such an explosive offense. And there wasn't really a single play when we threw the ball against Stanford where it was not under 15 yards.
Yeah.
Every completion was over like 15, 30, 55 yards, and that's why we had 3 guys with over 100 yards. So I think having Coleman is great because he had a fantastic game in the Hawaii Bowl against South Florida on Christmas Eve. I think people forget about that. And again, admittedly, I thought that he was going to be the guy moving forward because I thought he put a name for himself in that matchup. But I want to go back to the wide receivers because, again, it's disappointing that we're 1-3 and everything, but I do want to give the flowers to Leyland Smith. He's a Purdue transfer. We've been kind of waiting for him to ascend in this role, but I really want to give a lot of credit to Kyrie Scholes because he's really stepped up to the occasion, and I can make the case that he's right up there with Danny Scudero. Scudero has been the guy dating back to week 1, but Kyrie Scholes, 10 catches, 147 yards, and a touchdown, a career high for him, his best game of his young career. Just how does that give the momentum for this offense? Because it was such a disappointing and hard start for them in the beginning part of the portion. Just can you explain to me that momentum that they have moving forward and how that can help Egan in this offense for the rest of the season?
Ever since Malachi Riley went down, Kyrie Scholes has taken that role well. Like, ever since that Texas game, he got a few catches. I think he had around 70 yards that game. And then ever since then, it's been progressively better. I think last week he had that touchdown. Against Idaho, he had that touchdown. This week, against Stanford, he had 100 yards and another touchdown. So I think it's just been giving the offense some juice. Having a deep receiver room. This offense, I think this offensive wide receiver room is like one of the top in the Mountain West, if not the nation. We have people or wide receivers that can play anywhere in the country. Craig Stutzman's offense is just built for wide receivers to have success.
Yeah, I mean, to add on to your point, Niles, I mean, Danny Scudero, currently 3rd in the nation right now, only behind Tennessee, and I believe, first correct me on that, but I believe we could get back to that later. But yeah, 3rd in the nation right now, and I mean, this is a team that, yeah, you mentioned, I mean, receivers thrive in this system. Last year, obviously, Nick Nash, Triple Crown winner, and losing Nick Nash, Justin Lockhart, I was worried about this core, but I mean, it looks like we're in the right place right now. I mean, again, Danny Scudero, this is the guy that I really do see in our future, and whether he makes it past the transfer portal or not, I mean, this season we should be just like we got to use him as much as we can because I mean that's a special talent right there, and yeah, I mean this receiving core just deep overall.
Yeah, and then I wanted to add to what he said, Hattie. He said Scudero's 3rd in the nation, only behind Chris Brazel II, who plays for Tennessee, and Makai Lemon, who plays for USC. And so, like you said, the receivers completely stacked, but going to mention the tight end. Obviously, he had an amazing game. Even though Stanford defense might be a little shaky, like I think you say it perfectly, where it's like they don't have like those little like passing plays, like a little short pass that kind of gets you a couple yards. It's just go, go, go.
I think especially for the Stanford game too.
Yeah.
I think that it was all just based on the game script. I'm not worried about the run game because again, I think it's all about what Stutz wants to have as a script. I think the Idaho game, it was perfect. I think that they were coming out expecting us to throw the whole time, and we caught them off guard by running the ball. And I think that it wasn't planned until Bates' 87-yard touchdown run, and I think that's when Stutz realized we can utilize this because Idaho, this is clearly their weakness. But for Stanford, again, first drive, just march down the field. Like, I think we got a field goal on the first drive though, but overall it was a very successful drive, and nothing changed from that point forward. Even though we did lose, every single drive we were in the red zone. I recall there was 3 straight possessions where we missed 2 field goals from Dennis Lynch, and we went for on a 4th and short, I think it was, from like the 30-yard line, and we didn't get it. And that's ultimately what lost us the game. But overall, we were just moving the ball so well.
Yeah, and other criticisms it has, like if you're marching down the field, like with these big long passes, eventually you're gonna get to near the red zone, and it's like you can't pass the ball even more because the red zone's right there. You got to pass the ball in the red zone. So I feel like they need to start maybe like utilizing the short game more. I just want to see it not only like near the red zone, but just kind of in the middle of the game, because then you can keep guessing. Like if they're expecting it, You can pass it down to Scudero, like we saw in the Central Michigan game where they had so many people back. They passed it to Scudero with a short pass, and he took it all the way to the house. And that was really impressive for me because that showed me that he's able to switch it up.
It'll be interesting too because Nas, you could correct me on this, but isn't New Mexico's current head coach the former Idaho coach? Is that correct?
Yes, he was their whole offensive coordinator, the head coach, and I believe the defensive coordinator all came from Idaho. Egit said today there's some similar stuff to preparing for Idaho than there's to New Mexico. So
yeah, because I was going to mention that too. I think this New Mexico game is going to be a glimpse slightly of what we saw in that Idaho game, where New Mexico can potentially just burn off a lot of time of possession, which if San Jose State doesn't come out and play a clean game of football on offense, and if they turn the ball over like we saw in the first 3 weeks, that might be a problem for them.
Offensively, they're different because that's a WAC team. New Mexico throws the ball a lot more, but it's pretty much similar. There's the same keys offensively. They have a throwing quarterback that was the quarterback from Idaho. He transferred with the coaches to New Mexico.
Yeah. And I kind of want to ask you guys a couple more things. One is, obviously, we talk to Walker a lot. Very familiar with him, great guy. The one thing that I think nobody talks about is that if you're attempting passes a lot, that's a lot of toll on your shoulder. Like I said, 52 pass attempts in one game, to me, it was insane because it's essentially like a pitcher throwing it for the entire 9 yards. Just eventually that's going to take a toll on your body. It's you can't do that every game because that messes up your shoulder, especially late game when you're tired. It can mess with accuracy, it can mess with your vision, it could lead to injury. So that's just the main thing I was thinking was you're really passing the ball over and over and over again. It's just I'm not thinking in the way of the game plan. I'm thinking of the person. I'm thinking of the actual guy's body. It's just can he sustain that?
Yeah, me and a few other reporters were talking about this today. We were just surprised that Walker Egit's arm didn't fall off doing that. But he had a career game. He balled out, but I don't think it's sustainable to go throughout the season. And I just wish we would have ran the ball a little bit more in that Stanford game just to get the time of possession a little bit down, and we could have just had more time for the defense to come back. And
Yeah, going to your point, dating back from last season, once Walker Egit took over for the full-time starting role with Emmett Brown, Coach Ken trusts Walker Egit in the pass game more. With Emmett Brown, we saw a lot more short passes, but with Walker, he does have a bigger arm, obviously his height, so we could tell that Coach Ken has all the trust in the world. But yeah, I agree with you guys. All these long passes, also the toll that it takes on Walker's arm, it's going to get to him, which is why I really do think we should start getting more packages for Tama, obviously the freshman QB. We've seen him in packages on design runs, but this is a guy that Coach Ken said in the press a couple weeks ago too. I believe it was after the Idaho game. I did ask him, and then Coach Ken said they have more plays for Tama moving forward, not just design runs. So I'm interested to see that, and obviously Tama's development, because this is a guy with a lot of talent too. And I'm just interested to see.
Yeah, what's it called? By the time we're going to go against Fresno State, you ever see the video of the turkey leg that's completely falling off the bone? That's what Walker's shoulder is going to look like.
That's a crazy statement. It's a crazy reference.
It's a little extreme, I won't lie, but it's just something I just got to
it is quite spot on. You don't want your quarterback to attempt almost 60 passes a game.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't throw an interception just because 60 passes, if you throw the ball 60 times, the defense is bound to get their hands on the ball.
Yeah.
I think it just shows how impressive of a game that he's had, and we're really starting to see vintage.
And then Stutzman said today that Walker was balling so much that he didn't run the ball in the first half, and then he looked up with 3 or 4 minutes left in the first half. He looked at the scoreboard. He's like, "Oh, we have one rushing attempt." So I think it was just because Walker was just in a rhythm. He was locked in. Again, he had 400 something yards this game, so he was balling, but I just think we should incorporate the run a little bit more.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with you there. 260 yards at halftime, 18 of 25 for Walker Egit against Stanford. That's something that, based on my time covering San Jose State in my time here, I haven't seen that. That's just definitely something. It's going to be interesting to see what our game plan is going to be against New Mexico. But again, I do expect some more runs to be in our plan.
Now, Friday night, 7 p.m. Once again, San Jose State faces New Mexico. Crucial game. You guys will both be there. I'm taking a bye this week. I went to the Stanford game. I'll let Nfisa take over for my spot. But what are your guys' predictions? Are we going to come out with a home win, or is this just the beginning of what can be a hard, difficult road down for conference play?
I mean, defensively, New Mexico can be had a little bit. I mean, their run defense is pretty solid, so I'd expect another throwing fest. And hopefully, if we can protect the ball offensively, and the defense needs to step up in the secondary, no more busting coverages. Defensive coordinator Derek Odom said today that there was a lot of busting coverages. There was undiscipline in their eyes and their zones. So if they can step that up, I believe they could pull it off. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty similar to the Idaho game. It might be another nail-biter for sorry Spartan fans. It's going to be another nail-biter.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Niles. I couldn't agree with you more. Sorry. Sorry, I'll cut that out.
No.
But yeah, I mean, this is going to be, I think, just a gritty game. It's going to be, I think, down to the wire. As for score predictions, I'm going to go 24-20 San Jose State. I do think we pull off the home win. I think it's going to also depend on how that student section is. How our student section is rocking. I mean, we saw against Central Michigan that was packed out. That we had some atmosphere. Idaho too. At first, that first quarter especially. I mean, those stands were pretty empty. But as the game went on, I mean, those stands filled up. I mean, just dating back to last year against Boise State when that whole student section was filled. I mean, I think CEFCU has an environment that could help us win football games, and I just think, Walker Egan. I mean, after his career game, it's only up from here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So with that being said, that is the end of today's episode. If you guys want to check out Nas's recap of this game, you can go to thespear@sjsu.com to read all of our recaps, feature stories, sidebars, and opinions. With that being said, I want to thank our guests again, Niles Hall and Hattie.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Thank you.
Hopefully next time I talk to you guys, the team's doing a little bit better in conference play.
So, wrap things up. Like I said, I'm Abel Tariku.
And I'm Lucas Quick signing off. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.